Hey everybody, welcome back. I wanted to talk about three really good books that I read within the last couple of years that were pretty interesting to me. I really like investigations, trials, true crime stories, things like that. Not really much of a reader. I would like to read more, but it's time consuming. Even though a book's only 200 pages long, it usually takes me, as interested as I am in these books, it'll still take me like months to finish. I'm more than likely to more than likely to see movies instead, because it's just, even though books are usually better, it's just much faster. But nothing, not to take away from reading. I do enjoy it. It's just more time consuming in the long run. So I'm going to talk about Ann Rule. She wrote true. She was a retired Seattle area police officer, and when she retired, after she wrote her first, after she had her experience I'll talk about with Ted Bundy. He inspired her to be like a true crime author. And the first book she wrote was in 1980 called The Stranger Beside Me, and was basically about her experience with Ted Bundy. She volunteered when she was retired as a police officer. She volunteered at a Seattle area. It was like a crisis clinic or a suicide hotline, and she sat right next to him. And he used to, it's kind of creepy because that's how he lured women to his car, and he committed his crimes, and he also walked women to their cars. He used to, I guess for safety reasons, when they left, it was, volunteering for the day, it was already dark out, so he used to offer to walk her to her car. Nothing ever happened to her. He targeted college girls, and he made like a cast. He would fake like he had a broken arm, or he'd be on crutches, and he'd drop his books, and the girls would help him to his car, and then that's when he would usually knock him over the head with something and then commit his crimes. We don't really have to go into that. I think we all know about that, or if we don't, we can Google it. But yeah, that was the first book that she wrote, which is called about Ted Bundy, called The Stranger Beside Me. And then there was another book I read of hers called The I-5 Killer. Now, the Interstate 5, it runs from, I think, from like northern Arizona, I believe, all the way through California, all the way through Oregon up to Washington. And Randy Woodfield was the I-5 killer. They also dubbed him the I-5 Bandit. He committed most of his crimes at gas stations. He was from Portland, not too far from Seattle. And he, in a way, was kind of a lot like Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, if you see a lot of his pictures, he changed his appearance a lot, I think, to hide from the cops. And if they were looking for him, if it was a description. This Randy Woodfield was a lot like that. He had a beard, or a mustache, and before he committed his crimes, he would shave it off. He'd wear like glasses or hats, put band-aids on his face, and he actually, like, when he committed most of his crimes that he did at gas stations, assaults, sexual assaults, murders, robberies, burglaries, and he would like within less than an hour, sometimes he would go in or near these gas stations after he shaved and changed his appearance, took the band-aids off his face, took his hat and his glasses off. And he's still alive today. He's like 72 years old, but he would, try to find out, like, he was just, could have just been a thrill to return to the scene of the crime. But I know Ted Bundy did that once too. They were both like trying to find out, returning to the scene of the crime with a different appearance, to try to see if they could find out what the cops knew about the investigation. And that was a pretty interesting book about the investigation of Randy Woodfield, about how he got caught. I think one of the women he raped, I think they found his pubic hair in the girl, and I think she didn't take a shower, didn't change her clothes. That's what they say to do if you ever are raped, not to change your clothes or shower, anything like that. And I think they did find, was it one or some of his pubic hair on the girl's pubic regions. That's how he was caught, the early days of DNA or something like that. I don't know if it was actually DNA or something similar to that back in the day. So there was that. And then the other book, I saw the movie too before I saw the book, came out in 1989. It was called I think the book was written in 1987, called Small Sacrifices. And that was about Diane Downs, also the Portland area, originally from Arizona. And she was that woman that back in almost 40 years ago, back in 1983, that shot her 3 small children in the car when she was on a deserted country road, and then drove to an area, near area hospital, and basically cried wolf singing when she was flagged down by a bushy-haired stranger and said that, he wanted her car, and when she refused, he shot the kids. And Ann Rule followed the investigation of that and the trial, and that was very into the movies, real good, the books real good. So yeah, I definitely recommend all three of those books. I can't wait to read more of her books. There was also one. I think there was a Lifetime movie. It was called, well, Small Sacrifices. It was a Lifetime movie, but there was one about this guy, David Brown, in California that murdered his wife, and it was called Love, Lies, and Murder. And Anne Rule wrote a book on that case called If You Really Loved Me. I think he had his daughter commit the murder to cover his tracks, but they still found out that his daughter did time for it, but they found out that he did it anyways. I think she confessed to it, the daughter did. And she also wrote a book about the Green. There's been, I think, a number of movies on Gary Ridgway, the Green, also from, I don't know what it is, was the Seattle area, the Oregon area, but there was also a book that she wrote on Gary Ridgway, who was dubbed the Green River Killer. And there's been a number of movies on him. I'd like to read that book too, but I'm sure all of her books are great. So yeah, that's all I got to say about Anne Rule and the three books that I wanted to cover. Let me know if you've read any of her books, what you think of them. Mention their names if you haven't read the three that I've read. So comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all real soon with another great video. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you all soon. Bye.